Let's talk to Dan Diamond. He is the author of Political Pulse, Politico's morning briefing on healthcare, politics, and policy. He's joining us now on the telephone from Capitol Hill. And Dan, we're expecting the full House vote on this bill in just a few hours. You just heard reporters tossing questions to the president there. So give us a sense of what's going on behind the scenes there and inside the White House right now.
Well, there's a lot of energy on Capitol Hill. I'd say it's more nervous energy than confident energy. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but your own head count squares with what we have and what others have seen, which is that Republicans are just coming up short here. And in the minutes right before coming on air, the appropriations chairman came out and said he's not going to vote for this bill. That's an awful sign for Republicans. The vote is scheduled for a few hours from now. The odds of that actually happening and closing in a few hours are vanishingly slim. Most likely this will go all night. The vote may stay open, maybe even through the weekend, as Republicans decide to put on pressure and twist arms.
So did you say the vote has been scheduled? It's going to happen?
The vote is expected in a couple hours.
Okay.
Whether it actually happens, unclear.
All right. So, Dan, yesterday you tweeted, I'm going to read your tweet, that time a novice chief executive made a foolhardy promise. His erstwhile allies rushed to get it done, and it all fell apart in the end. Based on what you just told us about what you're seeing on Capitol Hill, it seems like your confidence level has not been boosted.
So I want to clarify, that was a stream of tweets about Arrested Development, the TV show.
No way.
Specific episode, no connection at all to reality of what's happening on.
Well, isn't that funny about life and art?
Yes, sometimes it does imitate
Time is a flat circle. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, let's talk about this. You wrote yesterday that no matter what happens to the bill, Trump Care is here to stay. What does that mean?
So there's a lot of attention, and rightfully so, on this package moving through Congress, and there's a good chance it will fail. But the White House has tremendous power to change the law, and since the administration took over, we've already seen a bunch of very important changes to the Affordable Care Act. Marketing dollars got slashed at the end of the enrollment period. There have been changes around the edges of what the insurance plans are going to look like that are sold on the exchanges, and I think it's an important takeaway that there are kind of two tracks of health reform right now. The big thing that's happening in Congress and the quieter thing that's happening behind the scenes.
And a lot of the changes have been put in place, it seems like, to woo more conservative members of the GOP party. I want to ask you about Congressman Mark Meadows. He's the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. How important do you think he is to this process? Winning him over, is that key to getting this bill passed?
I think if you had to look at anybody, he's the guy. He's the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, so he's got 35 or so members behind him. That said, we don't know if he can bring all of those members or even enough of them along with him. Several Freedom Caucus folks have already come out this morning, last night, saying there is no way, in one case, hell no, will I vote for this bill. So even if Meadows comes, he may not be able to bring all the votes that the White House and Paul Ryan need.
And do you see the situation developing in which President Trump will get the credit if the bill passes and Paul Ryan will get the blame if it doesn't?
I think that's what the White House wants. I mean, Trump is already testing out lines and attacks. There have been some very strategic leaks over the past 24 hours that this was Paul Ryan's idea and he was just going along with it. But having talked to researchers and political scientists, the evidence is pretty clear that presidents bear an outsized share of blame or credit. And Clinton got bashed, Obama got bashed and praised. So this is hanging on Trump, whether he wants it to or not.
Yeah, and we should just point out for our viewers that just moments ago, President Trump was asked about this. One of the reporters shouted out a question, should Paul Ryan stay as Speaker if it fails? And the president responded yes. So as far as we can tell, the president's still confident that the Speaker should continue in his position, even if this doesn't go through.
I think we've seen from previous battles, John Boehner had problems controlling his caucus. What Paul Ryan's going through right now is not new. So even if Trump gives him a vote of support, I mean, in some ways that's like the dreaded vote of confidence. Behind the scenes, clearly some dissatisfaction and pushing some concerns with Ryan.
All right, Politico's Dan Diamond, thank you so much for your time, Dan.
Glad to be with you.